Welcome back to my show where I talk about why I love a movie and think you should see it. Luckily, today I'm talking about a tiny indie film that chronicles celestial entanglements. I've wanted to talk about this movie for a long time, and a hot and fresh show with a shorter format is the perfect opportunity to spread some love for Star Wars. Jump scare. Rogue One is a Star Wars film directed by Gareth Edwards that also happens to be a breathtakingly beautiful film to look at. It has the feeling of witnessing weary, impoverished, struggling rebels through the eyes of a war photographer. It always manages to find the most beautiful way to look at a horrible thing. This movie could just be people shouting, "Hey, I like Twizzlers a lot!" And I would probably still watch that once a year as long as it looked like, that. But they don't shout that because Rogue One is a movie about rebellion. A film about rebellion whose two main stars are Felicity Jones and Diego Luna. A film heavily inspired by old World War II movies and to some degree Vietnam films, but somehow it remains entirely Star Wars because everyone is so dirty all the time. The development of this film is interesting. It started as an idea from John Knoll, the chief creative officer for ILM, and the writing passed through a few hands like Gary Whitta, Chris Weitz, and Tony Gilroy. And I'm talking about a film that essentially came from a single sentence in the A New Hope title crawl, but suffice it to say that a lot of people worked on this movie and cared a whole lot. And it's worth taking a second to talk about how some of the larger CGI gambles don't quite pay off, but I can also take a minute to remind you that you also get Mads Mikkelsen and Ben Mendelsohn playing against each other in a Star Wars movie, and surely that's gotta be worth something. It has a bit of a crisis of identity in that it's trying really hard to give you this super exciting Star Wars movie that's also about loss and the imperative of sacrifice in fighting a repressive space empire. And it accomplishes both things, which I think is also the reason it rubbed up against some people wrong. It's hard for this,
I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old,
to be next to this. But the highs tower like giants over the lows. Every time Mon Mothma is on screen, I feel like I'm a kid again. And that's what I love about this movie. It gently cradles your nostalgia before hitting you in the face with it. And forget the bad guys for a moment. Rogue One is what it is because this group of outlaws and people cast aside in a demonstrably shit system cannot get the time of day from the good guys.
What reason would my father have to lie? What benefit would it bring him?
To lure our forces into a final battle to destroy us once and for all.
But also it's fan service. I appreciate what Rogue One is putting down. I guess I like what this film is saying metatextually. I'll cancel me for saying it too, but give me a second. This isn't shot like a Star Wars movie. The angles are wide, the camera bumps realistically in space. We are kept distant from the grand space battles minus some chatter and kept in the boots of the people on the ground. A New Hope wasn't Uncle Owen's movie. We didn't see how hard it is to survive on a desert planet where the vast majority of available work is using a vaporator to farm excess moisture from the atmosphere. No, but Tosche station power converters, I'm sure it's all very important.
I chime in with a haven't you people ever heard?
Jyn Erso is not the monomyth. Her life was always impossible. She was always in the fight. I mean, half her childhood is being left in a box or a crate or a hole or a cave. Oh, and spoilers for A New Hope, but Owen and Beru did not have a banging party and live happily ever after in reward for all of their hard work. I guess what I'm saying is I appreciate that Rogue One is a movie about the Owens and Berus of the universe. You should see it because this is a Star Wars movie about what it costs to resist.
Rebellions are built on hope.